So then, now that the theme park season is now back and in full force and we are beginning to revisit these theme parks that we've waited so long over close season to go back to, I thought I would make a video on things that I would avoid spending money on at UK theme parks, because given how expensive it is to visit UK parks nowadays, there are a lot of things that it makes sense to avoid spending money on because it can be quite expensive to visit a theme park, so saving that bit of money when visiting it is something that is more important nowadays than ever, really, isn't it? So then I do just want to stress these are just a few things that I have adopted when going to UK theme parks to save a bit of money myself, because I go to a lot of theme parks nowadays, and of course money is not an abundance for me, unfortunately, so I've adopted a lot of things to save a lot of money when visiting. Now, a lot of you who visit UK parks all the time will probably already know these and use these strategies anyway, but this is more for people who are visiting a park for the first time or going to some UK parks and want to save a bit more money. These are just a few things that you can try to save a bit of money. And in at number one, the first thing which costs a lot of money when going to a theme park is buying drinks for everyone in the group throughout the day. And there is something which Merlin parks in particular adopt, so Legoland, Chessington, Thorpe Park and Alton Towers, and there's probably more that I've forgotten. And they're all different parks have them. Here's one that Thorpe Park uses. This is from Fright Nights, but you can use different parks ones for different UK parks. Now, there might be other theme park chains in the UK that use it, but Merlin parks are definitely ones that have these refill cups. And what you can do is buy the cup at the beginning of the day, which I won't put exact prices on, but I'll put a price on like in the edit of this video, and then you pay to activate the cup. But that means that all day you can use the freestyle machines to top your cup up all day, which is great. And the benefit is if you already own one of the cups, you just pay to activate it at the beginning of the day, which does save a lot of money. Now, one other thing which I do want to point out, these freestyle machines do dispense water for free, obviously because you need to dispense water. But one thing which I often find myself doing, especially if there's a smaller number of us, is not bringing the refill cups, but bringing bottles of water with us, then just filling them up and topping them up on these machines throughout the day, because it's the thing which is quite easy to miss, but can save you that bit of money. But yeah, that's one I'd definitely look into if you have, like, you're going with your family and you want to have fizzy drinks. This is a great way to sort of stop having to buy multiple throughout the day. You can just get a cup and activate it and use that throughout your trip. And it also means when you visit in future, you can bring it with you again and just activate it for that visit. In at number two, we have something which relates to drink quite heavily, and that is food around the parks. And that is because something which is very common and a stereotype really is the pricing of theme park food, which is ridiculously high in my opinion. And something which I found myself doing more often than not nowadays is going to the shops on the way and getting a meal deal, because a lot of UK parks let you bring food in, and one park in particular that doesn't let you bring food in, which I think is something which needs to change, is Blackpool Pleasure Beach, or as it is now, Pleasure Beach Resort, which I do disagree with, but that is something to bear in mind. You can't use this strategy if you're visiting that park. But something which is quite helpful is if you bring food with you, you could even bring a picnic. And if you're at a park like Towers, it's actually quite nice to sit on the lawns and have more of like a picnic or a lunch that you've brought with you, because you're not spending the money on theme park food. And especially given that if you're in a Merlin park, you've got Aramark food, you're spending theme park prices for a company that caters for prisons. So yeah, it's something which I definitely consider, because it will save you a big chunk of money, especially if there's a large group of you going. In at number three, something which is very important to bear in mind, and that is where you get your tickets from. Now, the first one, which isn't a bad idea for any park you visit, never buy your tickets on the day. Make sure you do it in advance. Now, that is purely because if you buy them at the park, they are going to ramp up those prices and it's going to be more expensive than ever. So the best thing to do is either buy them online prior to visiting, maybe the night before even makes a difference. I've noticed that if you buy it the night before the visit, it's still a bit cheaper. But a big thing that you can do is use promotional deals to get discounts. Something which I do all the time, especially in the summer months when visiting with family who don't usually go to parks, is I'll tell them about schemes that you have on such like cereal boxes and a lot of food packaging across the UK. I know Kellogg's products use them, so do look out for them when you're next at a shop. But you can get 2-for-1 vouchers on the packaging as like a promotional thing for a lot of UK parks. Now, I'm pretty sure it's Merlin parks they do it for, like Alton Towers and Thorpe Park. And it does make a big difference, because if there's two people going who don't have like passes to go into the park, like a season pass, I'll often say, well, why don't you two buy it through this scheme? That way one of you's getting a free ticket. And it really does save that bit of money and does make sense. So I definitely recommend reading into ways that you can save money on getting your tickets before buying them. Something I do want to mention, because you hear horror stories of it, please do make sure that the sites you buy your tickets from are legitimate and trustworthy. There is horror stories of people going on like eBay and buying fake tickets for like 30 quid, and you're just losing your money that way. So please do make sure the sites you buy the tickets on are trustworthy and are not scamming you, really is the way I want to word it. After that, we have the dilemma of theme park fast passes. Now, this is one thing which I mainly mention because it ropes people in quite a lot of the time. And it's something that I want to mention because it's more the fact that if you want to spend the a bit more money and get those fast passes, fair enough. But there are a lot of articles you read and stuff which kind of rope you in to make it sound like it's a necessity, and it really isn't. You don't really need them for UK parks, especially if you're there long enough. Like, you hear people have gone for weekends at Alton Towers and still feeling the need to buy fast passes. If you're at the park long enough, it is a much better idea to sort of structure your day well enough that you don't need those fast passes, because they're not cheap nowadays. So it makes sense to, unless you need them and it's something that you want the luxury of, which is fair enough, but if you want to save that bit of money, don't feel pressured into getting them from what people say online. You don't need them. It makes sense to structure your day logically instead, which I have in fact made a video on, and I'll probably make one soon because it does change the advice I give from year to year depending on what's happening with the UK parks. But yeah, please do check videos out on that. There are other great videos online by other creators who make some really good points about ways to structure your day. I'd recommend watching those because they really do help you out. In at number 5 is something which is very, very important to remember, and is something which is actually quite costly if you don't do it in advance, and that is make sure you buy things like sun cream and paracetamol and everything before you get to the parks. Because I've personally sort of forgotten to do stuff like that, especially with the paracetamol one. And you go into the park and go on a few rides on a hot day, you get a headache and you go to buy them from the shop and realise that theme park gift shops tend to ramp up prices on stuff like that, whereas you can get them from places like Tesco's and everything a hell of a lot cheaper. So please do, before you visit the park, make a list of things you want to buy. You could even do it on the way when you're grabbing things like your lunch. Make sure you get, if you think you'll need stuff like that, in advance, because if you buy them on the day, you'll be surprised at the amount that theme parks can ramp the prices up on stuff like that. And I'll put a little bonus one in on the end because it's something which I've found myself needing to listen to more often than not. And that is, remember that a theme park gift shop is going to charge theme park prices. And that is just because this year I've noticed it more than ever, but it kind of been like it for quite a few years really. But theme park prices, like merchandising and gift shops, is not cheap, especially at Merlin parks. So it is something, if you're going with kids and you know they're going to want to buy something in the gift shop, maybe do avoid around it. And it is something which I often notice is the most expensive part of my day. Now that is purely I've put in there because it's probably advice I need to listen to, because I'm the one who usually goes in there and go, oh, buy that, and oh, I like that, oh, that's great, I'll buy that. Then realise I've spent 100 quid and then have to deal with the very much hurt bank account that I have to nurse over the next few weeks after that visit. So please do bear that one in mind, but that is more one that I think I need to listen to more than anyone. But thank you for watching. If you do visit theme parks a lot, you probably already knew all of this, so apologies for wasting your time there. But if you can think of something which I didn't mention in this video, which you think is important for people to know, please do put it in the comments. And it's something which I'll often read through and go, I can't believe I didn't think of that. So please do put it in the comments. It will be great to see. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe. It really does make the world of difference and really does help this channel out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.